Can people have an amazing psychological life with belief in God as opposed to belief in self? I think very much so. It's dependent on how the trauma affects a person psychologically, and it can be very, very comforting to know that God has your back, that God looks out for you, right? So definitely I can acknowledge the emotional and psychological benefit of having faith in God, having faith in something greater. So I'm not negating that. Only in my psyche that no longer works, right? Because I experienced a couple of life events, traumatic events, where I thought God had my back and didn't. The awful thing happened, and there was no God there to protect me. So I experienced the trauma of being abandoned by God. Right? So you have to understand, if your parent in childhood abandons you, what a searing trauma that leaves in your psyche. If your parent in adulthood, if your parent, God, abandons you and does not keep you safe, that leaves a searing line of abandonment trauma in the soul. So when the soul is faced with that, you have to shift. You have to shift away from that which you previously relied upon for safety and it failed. You have to find a new point of safety. And the new point of safety for me was to realize, to bring God inside of me as my own oversoul, right? You may not make the connection psychologically and think, well, what's the difference? Whether you bring God in as an overlord and a parent, someone that's over you, or your own soul. Well, you would have to have experienced the God abandonment to understand it in your cellular level, in your psychic level. And so obviously I couldn't rely on God externally to have my back. So what did my soul do? It had to shift to something that would never abandon me, and that is my own soul consciousness. In that I no longer place my trust onto someone external of me, separate from me, that I have to rely on. I have now transferred that oversight to my own oversoul. And this has removed the anxiety and the fear of accidents happening, because a greater part of myself is now in charge of it, right? So it's never an event or a person or an entity that's separate from me that either isn't watching out for me or doesn't alert me to a trauma that's about to happen, right? So I have closed the gap, the distance in my psyche. This gap between myself and God, I have closed that. So there is no potential for abandonment or surprise. When I redirect everything under the control of my higher soul, which is still me, gives me a psychological illusion, maybe even, but it gives me the psychological effect that nothing in life is happening to me by mistake or because someone else ordained it that way. The way our mind perceives language creates the emotions, the feelings. And so by me eliminating God as someone else eliminates the problem of being abandoned in critical situations. Now, I have given my own soul the position of God. I just don't call it that because that word has failure attached to it, has pain attached to it, trauma attached to it. So my oversoul, the consciousness of Source, is my consciousness. And I am cradled in the knowing of myself. I'm cradled in the care of my own soul. And that has given me tremendous peace, tremendous peace. I just wanted to clarify this, that if you have a relationship with God and that works well for you, that's wonderful. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but I can only share from my psychic experience, my soul experience of how life and life with God so far has impressed upon me. And when something causes trauma, when something causes disappointment, when something causes you to not be able to trust in the designated safekeeper and they let you down, you have to shift, because that equation no longer works to keep body, mind, and soul in alignment. And this alignment is necessary for peace, and the peace is necessary for health, for well-being. So that's where I'm at with that. I hope this helps somebody out there. If you are on your deconstruction journey, I can help you fast-track your deconstruction with one of my books called The Renegade Musings, Journey into Consciousness. I have now published 5 volumes, and any one of them is going to help you in a no-nonsense approach, plain explanation. It's going to help walk you home to your own soul. It's now available on Amazon.com.